Okay, we're on example 1, page 628. I kind of started this already. We're going to be simplifying the square root of 80, which separates into 40 and 2. You circle the 2 because it's prime. Then you can't split that anymore. And then the 40 splits into 20 and 2. Then the 20 splits into 10 and 2. And then the 20 splits into 10 and 2. And the 10 splits into 5 and 2. So the square root of 80 can actually be written as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, right? Let me see, that's right, that's right, that's right. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. That's right. So anytime there is a pair, it's going to come out of the square root. So it's like a pair of shoes. If you don't have a pair of shoes, you can't get out of the house. So this has a pair, so now there's a 2 outside, right? Now you're left with 2, 2, and 5. Well, there's another pair of 2s. So that 2 comes outside as well. So that's going to be left with 2 times 2, and the square root of what's left inside is 5. So the answer to this is 4 square root of 5. And that is the square root of 80 simplified. Now we're going to be simplifying this. Now square root of 2 is going to stay there, and we're going to drag it down to the end. That's going down to the bottom because you can't simplify that anymore. So here's the square root of 2. And the square root of 14 splits into 2 and 7. Those are both prime numbers. So those are going to come down. They're going to join the 2 over here. 2 times 7. So here we go. What's going to be our final answer? There's a pair of 2s right there. They can come out of the house, but they come out as a single pair. So there it is. Then this is a 7. And you're done. Simplifying 2 times square root of 14. So this was actually probably the square root of 28 that somebody split up. So you could do it like that. The next one is this one. Now you treat the 90 exactly the same. Okay? You treat the 90 exactly the same. You split it all. You're going to come out to, we'll do the 90. So this is going to be 9 times 10, 3 times 3, and 2 times 5, right? So the 90 is going to actually come out with a 3 on the outside and a 2 and a 5 on the inside, right? So 2 times 5, because they're the only ones left inside, become 10. So the 10 came from 2 times 5, and the pair of 3s came out and became a 3 on the outside. So the x, now we're going to do the same thing we do with the other one. X times x times x makes x to the 3rd power. Now y times y times y, oh, that's a horrible y, times y, sorry. So times y times z times z times it. Now you're going to obviously see that this is the long way, showing you the long way so that you understand that this is the long way. So z to the 5, so z to the 5. So this is the long way of doing it, right? Let's find all our pairs. So this is going to become x, this is going to become y, this is going to become a pair of y's, this is going to become a pair of z's, this is going to become a pair of z's. So on the outside is going to be 3 x, y, another y, another z, another z, and that's it. And what's left on the inside all multiplies together. We get a 10, we get an x, we get a z. And the outside is going to be 3xy squared, z squared. So that's the very long way of doing it. Now, will you get the right answer? Yes, but that's a very long way of doing it. So our final answer for this problem is 3x y to the second, z to the second, square root of 10x z. Now that's our final answer. You could do this at a glance. Okay, now the 90, okay, that's going to take you time to do in your head, so you have to do the tree. But these exponents right here, all you have to do is divide all of them by 2. And the answer comes to the outside. And the remainder stays inside. So what's 3 divided by 2? It's 1 with a remainder of 1. What's 4 divided by 2? Y to the second. You see how it's outside? What's 5 divided by 2? That's going to be 2 with a remainder of 1. So the remainders stay inside, and the answer to the division problem becomes the exponent on the outside. Okay? So let's do another one over here. So let's do it the shortcut way. So 32 splits into 16, 2. 16 splits into 2, 8. This is going to split into 4, 2. And that's going to split into 2, 2. So I write down all of my 2's, and I have a pair right here. I have a pair right here, and a 2 is left inside. So I have a 2 outside and a 2 outside, and I'm left with a 2 on the inside. Now let's do everything else the way that we would divide, right? So we're left with 4 outside. Let's see what else comes outside. And we'll leave the square root all the way over here, so it gives us some space. And the 2 is inside. So what's 2 divided by 2? 1. So 1r comes outside. What's 4 divided by 2? 2. So 2 comes outside. T to the 5 is t to the 2 with a remainder of 1. And that's my final answer. Much quicker, much less mess. Too much mess, you can make a problem more difficult. This is actually very simple. All right, let's do this one. Now this one, they want you to answer it and leave it with no square root on the bottom. Now I'm going to show you how to do that. So here we can simplify it. Before we start anything, we can simplify those numbers so we don't have to deal with big numbers. So this is going to be, they're both divisible by 5. So this is going to be 7 over 3. Actually, I don't know why I wrote 5 because I'm talking about 5. So the answer for this one is 7 over 3, which is actually the same thing as the square root of 7 divided by the square root of 3. So what we're going to do to get rid of this square root is we're going to multiply it by 1. Mr. Cassers, if you multiply that by 1, it's going to do nothing. Oh, don't you worry. What if I multiply it by the square root of 3 times the square root of 3? Now this is still 1. A number divided by itself is still 1. But it's going to change the way this looks. There's no longer going to be a square root on the bottom. Why? Because this times itself actually just makes 3. Why, Mr. Castros? Because the square root of 3 squared cancels the squared and the square root. Okay, which is what's happening here. Square root of 3 times itself gives you 3. Then on the top becomes the square root of 21. And now I'm done. Very easy. Now we're going to do something very similar in this one because they don't want this square root here at all. So we're going to multiply by its conjugate. Now if you don't remember how to do this, I'll explain. This x plus 3 times x minus 3, its conjugate, okay, will actually give you the first number squared minus the second number squared. Okay? So it comes out to something like this, x squared minus 9. That's how we're going to use the conjugate to get rid of that square root on the bottom. We're going to multiply this. We're going to multiply this, not equal. We're going to multiply this by its conjugate. So 5 minus the square root of 2 divided by 5 minus the square root of 2 is still 1. This divided by itself makes 1. So you're multiplying this by 1. You're not changing this answer. You're changing the way it looks, which will give us our answer of 15 minus 3 square root of 2 divided by the first number squared minus the second number squared, which gives us just 2. So it is 15 minus 3 square root of 2 divided by 25 minus 2 gives us 23. And that's it. Okay, we used the conjugate to solve that problem. Now we're going to be practicing. Okay, now here you're going to just be You're going to go to page 631 and practice 1 and 2. Right now, Sawchuk is going to pause it for 3 minutes to let you solve this. Now you're back. Now, you should have split this into 12, 2, 6, 2, 2, 3. Now, if you would have started with 8 and 3, you would have gotten the same answer. So don't worry. So now we have a pair of 2s, and 2 and 3 are left inside. So you have a 2 outside, and 2 times 3 that are left inside is 6. That's the answer for that one. This already has a 3 outside, so let's figure out if anything else comes outside. Actually, well, it's 4 times 4. So I know there's going to be 2 4s inside. So 4 is going to come out. The square root of 16 is 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. So the answer to that is 12. That one's actually very simple. This one, the square root of 10 and the square root of 14. This comes out to 2, 5. I'm done. This comes out to 2, 7. I'm done. Actually, I should have given you some time. Man, I'm not used to this. So this comes out to a 2 on the outside and a 35 on the inside. Now this one you have 3 minutes to do by yourself. And go. And we're back. Okay, so this would have been the square root of 3 all by itself down here. And then this would have been 2, 9, and then 3, 3. So this is left with a pair of 3s and a 2 and a 3 inside. So this is going to be 3 and the square root of 6 on the inside. Okay, now you're going to do these two, number 7 and 8 on page 631. Now he's going to give you 3 minutes to do it. Here we go. The 60 should have become 10 and 6, 2 and 3, 2 and 5. Now you have a pair of 2s and a pair of, a 5 and a 3. That's a 3. I know it's ugly. A 3, a 5, a 2, and a 2. So 2 is going to be outside, and a 15 is going to be on the inside. This divided by 2 gives me x squared. This divided by 2 gives me y to the 3 with a remainder of 1. And that's my final answer. This one here should have just been 11 times 8, 2 times 4, 2 times 2. So now you're left with a pair of 2s that come out. And inside, we're left with 2 times 11, which is 22. Now we do this divided by 2. We get 1 with a remainder of 1. Then this divided by 2 just gives us 1. That one divided by 2 gives us r to the second with a remainder of 1. And that's it for that one. Now this one here. Simplify this. Okay, I'll give you 3 minutes and go. Now when you simplify this, you're going to get the square root of, you're dividing both of these by 5, so you're going to get 9, and the square root of 2. All right, so this is actually just going to be 3 on the top, and the bottom is going to be square root of 2 still. So how do we get rid of the square root of 2 on the bottom? We multiply by 1, but a special kind of 1, where we multiply by the bottom number, which gives us 3 square root of 2 over 2. And we're done. That's your final answer. Here, don't forget to use your conjugate to solve this. I'll give you 3 minutes to solve this one and this one, which is 11 and 12 on the same page we've been working on. And you should be back. So we're going to multiply this. I don't know why I keep on putting equals on there. Multiply this by 3 minus the square root of 5, which is a conjugate, times 3 minus the square root of 5. And now our result over here, 3 times this and 3 times that, is going to be 9 minus 3 square root of 5 divided by, this comes out to the first number squared, minus the second number squared. So our answer is 9 minus 3 square root of 5 divided by 4. Now we go down here. How do we get rid of the square root in the bottom? We use the conjugate. We're going to multiply by 2 plus the square root of 6. And here is 2 plus the square root of 6. So this is going to come out to 10 plus 5 square root of 6, because I'm multiplying the 5 with the 2 and the 5 with the square root of 6. Then we're multiplying this, which comes out to the first number squared minus the second number. So our answer here is 10 plus 5 square root of 6 divided by negative 2. And that's our answer. All right. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.